Good afternoon and welcome to Bods, Crabcakes, and Sports. As you may notice, I am all by myself. No John, no Mike, as those two have real jobs and need to either teach children, sell vehicles, etc. So I am left all by myself. I don't know what to do with my hands. Also, not sure if this is even going to work, as I am not the one that should be in charge of anything technical. I apologize that I missed out on hanging out with John and Mike last night. The life trials and tribulations of a special needs father, as at the drop of a hat, you might be called to parental duties that the average parent may not have to do. So just to save you all the the details, I was unable to make it. So I did just want to reach out to you guys today, just share my thoughts on a couple big things that happened. Obviously, this past Sunday, the Ravens took care of the Bears 30-16. And John, Mike, and I have been talking about this game for a while. Now, before I made my prediction, I was fully thought that Lamar Jackson was going to be playing. And then they pulled the wool over our eyes, and he did not play. And now they may have to deal with the league as they're launching an investigation into any shenanigans that were going on. So we'll see how all that plays out. Could be a big fine, could cost them a draft pick, whatever the case may be. But after all of that, Tyler Huntley played well enough for the Ravens to win. The defense definitely had played better than they had played all season long, doing well to keep the Bears to just 16 points. Now the Bears aren't going on to win the Super Bowl this year. More than likely, they may not even win or make it to the playoffs. But they did have 5 wins going into that game, and I think they are a team that's on the up and up. But as far as are they at the same level of the Rams? No. The Bills? No. The Chiefs? No. I'm still not a believer in the Texans, but the Texans obviously took care of the 49ers pretty easily on pardon me, at home. So with that being said, I mean, I think I had predicted the Ravens to win by double digits, and they did exactly that. They won by 2 touchdowns, 2 extra points as well. So, what does that mean going forward? Well, for me, I had thought that the Ravens always had the ability to rattle off 9, 10, even 11 straight wins if Lamar is healthy. And then the Ravens always tend to kind of correct the defense as the season goes along, or at least that's how it's been the last few years. That definitely has happened so far, and hopefully it can continue. They still have a lot of work to do, but with Lamar coming back on a short week, going to Miami, I think this game is going to be a little closer than most will think. I'm assuming Lamar is going to play as of right now. I know the Ravens are very hopeful that he's supposed to be playing. We'll see how that goes. But they should win this game. I mean, if they have any dreams of going to the playoffs still, winning the division, they have to take care of business against a really bad Dolphins team, but also a Dolphins team that is not ready to give up just yet, as they had a lot of fight in them last week. So we'll see how that plays out as well. But I fully expect the defense and Lamar to continue to improve. Lamar health wise, the defense on the field. Now we have the trade deadline coming up in the NFL here shortly, and one of the big things for me is kind of what happens this week and next week, et cetera. Because they have Minnesota next week, I believe. This week they have the Dolphins. So if they win 2 in a row, I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't be buyers. They could still be buyers slash sellers. I had mentioned before that, I mean, if they wanted to go ahead and they were blown away by a deal for Mark Andrews, go ahead and take it. I think you have enough here to handle that. As far as what do they need, if they could get more defensive help, the better. One of the names that I keep hearing as far as possibly being available, not necessarily attached to the Ravens, but is Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle from the Jets. I would be all over that if I was the Ravens. I don't know what exactly the Jets would want. I mean, he's, I think, 29 years old. Maybe a second, maybe even a third, and then a flip flop of a pick, something like that, I would do that in a heartbeat. The majority of his contract has already been paid out, the guaranteed money. It's just what's left on the yearly deal as far as that goes. I mean, I would be all about that. The other name that I was thinking of would be Kevin Beitler, the offensive guard with Tennessee, and bring him back to Baltimore. As I mentioned, I thought that could probably give Zeitler for a fifth, sixth, or even a seventh round pick. I'm not sure exactly, but that would be one really high on my list as well. And then the other one would be someone like Chase Young. So if you could get Quinton Williams and a Chase Young, I don't know how realistic that would be. I'm not sure what Chase Young's contract would really look like, but I mean, the Saints aren't really going anywhere. I mean, he's got, I mean, a lot left in the tank, still pretty young. I would definitely look into that if I were the Ravens um, to get a pass rush going there. But Quentin Williams to me would be my target. Now there might be someone else I'm missing. I know that the Ravens have been checking in on some secondary help, as always. They have to have five, six, seven safeties on the field at one time, but maybe corner help also. So just a lot to think of, but it all is dependent upon what happens this Thursday and then the following Sunday. Because I mean, with Pittsburgh losing, I mean, you're still within striking distance with a couple things going your way. Um, five more games, five more wins, then you play Pittsburgh. That takes you, I believe, 7-5 going into Pittsburgh. So anything can happen at that point. Um, and and Pittsburgh's got one of the toughest schedules going forward, and the Ravens have one of the easiest schedules. So to me, I would be all about making a move once they win this week, because I am going to assume that they're going to win. Oh, as far as wins and losses go, I mean, since I wasn't there last night, they didn't. John and Mike didn't get to brag about my terrible picks this week. So Mike and John both ended up tying because they only picked four teams that were wrong. They had the Falcons winning, the Bengals winning. John had the Niners winning and the Giants winning. So those four, and they all obviously lost. Mike had the Falcons winning, the Bengals winning, the Browns winning, and the Steelers winning. So those two tied with four. I got six wrong. So if you want to know my expertise, ask John and Mike, because it shouldn't be me. But I thought the Vikings, the Falcons, the Bengals, the Niners, and I can't even read my own writing here. The oh my, the Cowboys. Yep, sorry, this is great podcasting. That the Cowboys would win also, and I was incorrect. So I am the big loser. I'm sure Mike and John will have a fun punishment for me to do when we all get back together. So that actually brings me over to the O's, as there's been a lot going on in Birdland. When I say a lot, it's really just one move, but it's a big one. The O's finally decided on a manager, Craig Albernez, who was the um, assistant manager slash guy with Cleveland last year, essentially Stephen Vogt's right hand man. And he comes very, very highly thought of. I know John last night could not be more upset that this is the guy. He said he doesn't know who he is. This is not what we discussed. This is not who we needed. Blah blah blah. Well, John, I'm going to disagree with you, buddy, because I think this is exactly what they needed. I don't necessarily think this guy is a yes man. And I did need to do a little research on him initially, but Andy Costas from Baltimore Banner, he actually was he had put him on his initial list as one of the guys. And at that point, I had looked into this, and God, he was right. He, I mean, he was the actual number one choice last year for, I believe, the for two teams, the White Sox, and then I can't remember the other team. Might have been the Marlins. I'm not sure, but whatever the case may be, he took his name out of the running for both, and he was the favorite for both of those jobs. So now, and then he got a promotion going back to Cleveland. And when he was in managing the minors, he won a championship for with Bowling Green. So I am very I don't want to say cautiously optimistic, but the only reason I would be cautiously optimistic is because I'm not sure how much the manager is going to impact this team. Because going back in the Orioles' past, when Buck Showalter, for example, came in, the entire organization needed a changeover, and he did exactly just that. The entire culture went from losing to winning just by him being there, making changes within the entire organization. Well, the organization is already in a pretty good place, and they just had a down year. Last year was terrible for all of us diehard Oriole fans and for the casual Oriole fan. This is not what we expected. We coming off two straight playoff seasons, and one of those years in which they won the AL East, you were hoping for all the same to happen again. But they did take a step back. They had a lot of injuries the last couple years, but hopefully moving forward under new direction here with Craig Alvarez, they'll be in good shape. I know that he brings. He is real. They talk how well he deals with the younger players, and for me, that's key for this team. I mean, he's only what 42 years old, so he's a year younger than I am, I believe, and but he apparently they think can relate to all the younger guys and hopefully get the best out of them. The O's still have work to do. We had talked about what they could do to add to this team. I mean, I think they need a big bopper splash veteran bat. Like all you can get it all in the same one, whether it's a Schwarber, a Bregman, guys that know how to win, guys that have been there. They've won rings before. We don't have anyone like that on this team. Playoff experience is vast or not vast here. It's something that we need to strive for. And I mean, there's other guys out there. I mean, Kyle Tucker's at top of the list for me. Probably not realistic, but I mean, if you want to show the fan base that you're serious, that's who you try to go after. As far as the pitching goes, I know Mike and John talked last night about not wanting to get involved with the Orioles, maybe not wanting to get involved with draft pick compensation based on who you sign. I think all of that after the draft they just had with how many picks they had, I don't know how much that's going to come into play. I think they know what they want, know who they're interested in targeting, and they're going to try to do it. Whether that's a Dylan Cease on the top end, and then Zach Gallen on the bottom end, or Michael King on the top end slash middle, depending on his injury history. And then there's a Merrill Kelly who's a little older. But again, guys that have been there, that have pitched before, that will also give you. I mean, I believe all those guys have pitched either in the World Series or the playoffs before. So for me, you're not only getting top of the line starters or a good 2, 3 to pair with your already really good 1, 2 combination. So for me, I mean, the big bat, you'll get two starters. Obviously, the bullpen needs to be rebuilt. We had talked about Devin Williams on the back end. That sounds great and all. One of the things I was thinking is whether or not the Orioles make a trade and a signing or a couple signings in the starting rotation. One of the things that I do wonder if they'll consider, because Grayson Rodriguez obviously has, I don't want to say he's been a disappointment. He just can't stay healthy. When he's pitching, he's very good. And he has been. And he got sent back initially when they first brought him up to work on some things. And then ever since he came up, he's been lights out, pitched very well for this team, unless he's not healthy. So I guess he hasn't pitched for over a year now, maybe even longer. But I'm wondering if they'll think about limiting his pitching, his innings. So if that's the case, well, I wonder if they would consider maybe making him the closer this year. Not saying it's a permanent thing, but in the past, like the Oakland A's took. I mean, Dennis Eckersley used to be a starter with the Red Sox, but now that's obviously a Hall of Famer, a little different. But then he was a closer, and then John Smoltz obviously jumped back and forth between being a starter to a closer to a starter again to a closer. I mean, and then was it Derek Lowe with or is it Derek Lowe? One of the Lows, sorry, with the Boston Red Sox. I mean, he went and I mean, he was a closer and a starter for them. So if you take Grayson this year, your plan is put him in the bullpen, make him your closer, and then hopefully you get enough innings from your starters that you don't have to pitch him every single night like we did Felix last year and this year, or last year and the year before when he was healthy. But I would think about that because then you're not spending any money on that. And then you can bring in some other guys, depth in your bullpen that have had closer experience. Um, so maybe Sir Anthony comes back. I just don't know if they'll be spending a ton of money in the middle to late part of the bullpen, other than just the closer. But that would be my thought there. John had mentioned before Bieber from Toronto, I guess now, but was with Cleveland. That was one of the guys that I am very high on. So to me, if you could go out and get a you go out and get Dylan Cease and Bieber. I mean, to me, those are two number ones. Because Bieber again is coming off of a, I mean, he's still pitching well now in the postseason, but he's coming off a year in which he missed the entire year because of Tommy John. So to me, that could be the steal of free agency. I said it before. It's one of those guys that I just don't. I'm thinking of him as a steal, but I'm sure these major league teams out there aren't. So, and he'll probably be on everybody's radar as well. So yeah, I mean, for me, it would be Phil going after two starters. We're going to have plenty of time to discuss this. At least one big bat, and then potentially a fourth outfielder again. We mentioned Bader. One of the other things I want to mention too was there's some rumors going around. I think Sports Illustrated, some other outlets said that the Orioles will have an interest in Tarek Skubal. Well, no kidding. Every major league team has an interest in Tarek Skubal. Come on, give us something different. Like everyone wants Tarek Skubal. That's terrific. So that's not news. The fact that everyone thinks that's a possibility, um, it's it was compared to the deal for Burns. And what the Orioles got when they traded for Burns was a steal. Okay, there's only one guy out of there, and that's Joey Ortiz, that is even close to starting. So if they could do that, I'll drive into I'll go pick him up from the airport. I'll drive the other guys there too. It's just not going to happen for that deal. Now, if they really, because I'm even okay if they want to go out and get Scooble for 1 year, because realistically, what Boris is saying is $500 million. Well, okay, enjoy it. When he comes time, I mean, I'm going to say right now that no one signs him for $500 million. I don't think a pitcher who only pitches every 5 days is going to get $500 million. Now, can you pay this guy 50 to $75 million a year on a shorter contract? Absolutely, sign me up. But as far as like a 10-year deal at, oh, goodness gracious, man. I'm telling you, or a 5-year deal and whatever, no. Um, that sounds crazy. $500 million. But if you're going to go get him for 1 year, it's doable if you are going to be active in free agency and possibly the trade market. So if you're able, so say you have to give up a Mayo and maybe a Kaiser and then some minor leaguers for Scooble, because it's going to be a haul. You have to figure out, because you're competitive right away now, right? So you have to figure out how you're going to replace those guys. So now all of a sudden, because Scooble's not costing you barely any money because you're not going to go for the extension more than likely, you can then go ahead and throw more money at a Bregman and a Schwarber, or something to replace what you have lost. Enrique Bradfield, I mean, if I had to guess, will probably get an invite to spring training. I'm not sure he's ready to come up and be the everyday center fielder this year. But so they need to figure that out. I mean, they do need. I mean, is Tyler O'Neill going to stay healthy? That's the big question, right? I mean, Mountcastle's been talked about in all these trades, but you haven't seen much of him for the last couple of years. So what then happens is if you're going to do that, you need to be active and get multiple bats. But then again, are you going to sign multiple bats and then then you only have to get, I think, another starter. You don't need to go get two starters through free agency. So it'll be interesting how it goes out. It can be done in my mind, but they're not going to just go ahead and throw out all this money, or pardon me, all these prospects out there that it's going to hurt the team for next year. So for me, it has to be one of those things where if you're going to go for it, I'm all about it, as long as you're replacing the on-field talent with upgrades, which we've already said they need bats anyway. So now you just have to bring more of that in there. I know John sounds right in me here about Westberg. I mean, you saw what happened with Jordan Westberg the last 2 years. He's the glue that holds this team together. I mean, Gunner's the big boy, the big bopper, does well, but I mean, Westberg is the glue to that. So if you're going to trade Westberg, how are you going to bring him back? Like, what is coming back? Is Stephen Kwan coming back? But now you're giving up more of your farm system and more of your roster. Now, I'm all about, I mean, I said it last time, Stephen Kwan would be great. But I'm not so sure that Westberg, Mayo, Cows are sending all these guys to Detroit who needs offensive help is the way to go with all that. But if you could get a deal where you're trading mostly prospects and an everyday major leaguer, by all means, give it a shot. The other thing I wanted to mention was I guess call this Jason's Fantasy Corner. It is waiver wire day, and for your fantasy leagues, I hope you all are doing well. If you saw my record in the Dad Bods Listener League, you were going to turn off the show right now and stop listening to me because I am playing terrible. I'm also drawing whoever has their best week. That's who I play each week. So, whoever are up next, you're going to do great. But some guys on the waiver wire this year or this week. I mean, unfortunately, we lost Scatabo in with the Giants. Tyrone Tracy's got to be the number one guy out there, I think. And then if anybody did anything goofy like drop Travis Hunter, might be out there. Benson from Arizona might have got dropped. And then he'll be back in just a couple weeks, more than likely. And then Bam Knight. I mean, I dropped him from my league, actually two or three leagues going into last week. But then once the waivers expired, I went in and picked him back up because I knew no one was going to pick him up on a bye week. But he has a very, very good matchup against Dallas. But Tyron Tracy with the Giants the rest of the year through. I mean, that's got to be the guy. So if you have Fab left, I mean, it's time to consider going all in on your Fab for Tracy and guys like that. And then there's a couple other guys, Franklin in Denver. He has a good matchup. So I think Mims is going to be out this week. He has a good matchup this week. But then once Mims comes back, you're kind of back into spreading the ball out. So a couple other ones like Jack Besh in Oakland might be one that you may want to go and pick up as he has, as Myers may be getting traded here shortly. I mean, as far as quarterback help, see if anybody dropped Sam Darnold on the bye week. He's got a couple good matchups coming up. Jackson Dart, I do have in a couple leagues. I'm curious to see how he does without that running game of Scotabo, but maybe Tracy, again, I mean, I don't expect him to do exactly what Scotabo did, but he should be able to carry the way through. And let's see, what's John saying? Okay, so John wants me to go back to the Orioles and soundbite. So that's my take on fantasy. I swear, all my other leagues I'm doing fantastic, except for this listening league, which is about right. Like I knew that would happen. But John, Mike, and I believe, are all three dead last in that league. To all you other guys in that league, congrats. But yeah, a couple other guys that we had talked about. I mean, on the free agent market, Josh Naylor is a big one for me because I do think that they could upgrade at first base. It is intriguing though that if you aren't going to go after a Scooble or a Quan or somebody that's going to cost you Kobe Mayo, he has, I mean, he had a really good September. So if that is what he is going to be going forward, then obviously you don't want to trade him. But I mean, as far as Josh Naylor goes, I mean, I think you put him up there with even like a Pete Alonso because the way he played in the postseason so far, I'm not so sure he's set on returning to Seattle. I would be all over that one as well. I would also look for Arizona to make a pitch at signing him again. Arizona just missed out on the playoffs. So, I mean, I would definitely be in on him as well. Obviously, Pete Alonso is intriguing. I don't necessarily see it happening. Um, and okay, so now, John, stop with the relationships. John's telling me that Stephen Kwan, Josh Naylor have a relationship. Well, that's great. But guys, that very rarely is a thing. in baseball with giant contracts and different moving parts. Just because you coach somebody or may have played with someone doesn't mean that you're going to all of a sudden go ahead and sign with them. So I don't really hold water to Naylor or Quan being interested in coming because of that. Um, I do like. Mike says he's not sold on Naylor. I'll disagree with you, Frisky, because if you look at his age, yeah, I mean track record's one thing, but Major League Baseball players seem to peak around 27, 28 years old, and I mean he's right around there. I mean I'm willing to do it now. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that you're going to pay this guy like $250 million to come in here. But if you can get guys at reasonable contracts, if you're going to do the big contract, Tucker's the deal. Tucker's the one that you do. But as far as Naylor goes, I mean, he's a big piece there that could definitely help this team. As I keep saying, I think veteran leadership. So that's why I keep going back to Bregman and Schwarber, because veteran leadership that are tough outs. You want guys that have been there that like the Dodgers obviously are an anomaly because they have four Hall of Famers on their team: Kershaw, Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman. So they're deep in that area, but you need tough outs. You need to find these guys that the moment is not too big for them. So trying to figure that out and bring in the right deal. And again, bringing in these guys is only going to make your current lineup better. It's going to give protection to Gunnar. I mean, when Gunnar was at his best season when he had 37 home runs, he had Anthony Santander behind him who hit over 40 home runs. So if you can get players like that, it's just going to make everybody else around them better. So for me, did I say Justin Tucker? I didn't say Justin Tucker, did I? No. Mike says I said Justin Tucker. Well, if I did, clearly I think that is passed. I don't need Justin Tucker, but Kyle Tucker is who I meant. I'm pretty sure everybody understood that. But yeah, so um, that is pretty much everything that I have here. I mean, John again is saying that he thinks the Orioles are due a move like Verlander or something like that. Guys, I think that is past. I really do. I'm not saying they won't bring a guy like Sagano or Merrill Kelly, who I believe is in his up mid to late 30s, guys like that to help, but or Charlie Morton. I think this organization or this administration within there and the president of baseball operations knows that they have to move now, that they have to do things differently. They can still be frugal, but also make some splashes. And that's what they have to do. You can't go in with the mindset of just putting it together with band aids. You have to come out swinging and you have to make a dent in free agency. If there's guys that you want, go get them. Go compete. I've been saying this now for the last year. Compete with the big boys. Go against the Dodgers. Go against these. Now, you're not going to be able to stand toe to toe on every single player. But if there's somebody you identify, be aggressive and go get them. Um, and let's see what else. Yes, Verlander is dumb, as Mike says. John, you equal dumb too. Stop speaking. Okay, you're punished. All right. Well, that's all I have. I do have this is a special podcast, obviously. I have another special podcast for you all later this evening. 8 p.m. I will be interviewing Steve Molesky, former employee of Masson, longtime Oriole beat writer. So please join us if you can. That'll be pretty cool on Facebook. Otherwise, you can catch us on the Apple Podcast and all that fun stuff. I don't know all the stuff that Mike says at the end of these podcasts. I would appreciate if you guys could go in there and like and follow our episodes. Write us up some really good comments. Give us a 5-star review. Tell your friends. We'd love to keep doing this. Hopefully, we won't. I won't be doing many of these by myself, but I do want to share any information I can with you guys. And also, this is fun. This is better than working. So until later this evening, again, I think about 8 p.m. Eastern when myself, Steve Molesky, and I don't know if any of the other guys will be joining, but otherwise, I will talk to you all later. Have a great day.